He stared at the table like it might open and swallow him whole. The man who once toasted freedom now counted seconds with his breath. Cassidy sat 2 rows back, smaller than she'd ever been, her confidence stripped to bone. The evidence spoke calmly. Videos, messages, medical records, financial trails. Truth doesn't need volume, it only needs light. When Lena testified, the room leaned in. She didn't cry, she didn't shout. She told the truth the way survivors do, plain, careful, unbreakable. "He said he loved me," she said. "Then he made me dizzy, then he pushed." The judge closed his eyes. The jury didn't look away. I testified last, not as a billionaire, not as a strategist, not as the woman they feared, as a mother. "I taught my daughter to trust," I said. "And when that trust was used as a weapon, I chose not revenge, but responsibility." I paused. "Power didn't save my daughter," I said. "Attention did. Listening did. Acting did." That's when the room changed. The verdict came without drama, guilty, on all counts. The sound Marcus made wasn't anger, it was emptiness. Cassidy wept quietly. Consequences don't scream, they settle. Outside the courthouse, the sun felt different. Lena squeezed my hand. "Mom," she said softly, "you didn't just save me." She searched for the words. "You reminded me who I am." I held her then, really held her, for the first time since the night of the call, and I let myself cry. We went home, not to the house Marcus tried to steal, to a smaller place by the water. Peace doesn't need square footage, it needs honesty. If you're listening to this and something inside you feels familiar, if you've ignored a quiet warning, if you've trusted someone who made you smaller, if you're standing at the edge of truth, afraid to step forward, listen carefully. You are not weak for trusting. You are not foolish for loving, and you are never powerless when you choose to stand. Share this story with someone who needs courage today. Leave a comment if you believe truth always finds its way. And remember, sometimes the strongest roar comes from a woman who finally stands still and says, "No more." There it was. Not theory, not suspicion, truth. My heart broke silently. "Who?" I asked gently. She swallowed. "Marcus. And the nurse. The injections. I felt dizzy. Then the stairs." I pressed my forehead to her hand. "You don't have to say anything else," I whispered. "You've already won." Outside the room, Clara was already moving. "I'm recording everything," she said. "Medical testimony, video evidence, financial motive, witness statements." Marcus stood frozen against the wall. He had stopped pretending. Now he was calculating exits. There were none. 2 officers arrived quietly, not aggressive, not dramatic, professional. They spoke to Marcus calmly. "Mr. Hale," one said, "we have a few questions." Marcus looked at me. For the first time, truly looked. "You did this," he said. I nodded once. "No," I corrected. "You did." As they escorted him down the hallway, his phone buzzed. A message from Cassidy. Did she die? One officer glanced at the screen, then at Marcus. That was all it took. As the elevator doors closed on Marcus, Clara turned to me. "Cassidy is next," she said. I looked back at my daughter, breathing steadily now. "No," I replied calmly. "She's already trapped." The final moments before justice are rarely loud. They are quiet, deliberate, and unforgiving. Marcus was gone. The hallway felt lighter, like something toxic had been removed from the air. But the work wasn't finished. Not yet. Cassidy was still free, and people like her don't run. They wait, believing their intelligence will outlast consequences. Clara didn't waste time. "We've traced her credentials," she said. 3 fake references, 1 suspended license. She's been moving cities every 2 years. Predators migrate. "She knows something is wrong," Clara continued. "Her phone's been silent since the police arrived." I nodded. "She's not silent," I said. "She's thinking." I asked for a wheelchair and had Lena moved into a secure private room, 2 guards outside, 1 inside, no visitors unless approved by me. Protection isn't dramatic, it's thorough. We released 1 piece of information, carefully, a controlled leak. Marcus had been arrested, insurance fraud suspected, nothing more. Cassidy would read it and panic. Panic makes people reach out. It took 23 minutes. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered calmly. "Hello?" Her voice trembled. "Mrs. King, I need to talk to you." Cassidy. "I think Marcus is in trouble," she said. "I was manipulated." "Of course you were," I thought. "Come to the hospital," I said gently. "If you care about Lena, you'll help us." She hesitated. "I don't want the police involved." "They aren't," I lied. She agreed. Fear makes people believe what they want to believe. Cassidy arrived an hour later. No red dress now, gray hoodie, no makeup, eyes darting. She looked smaller without power. She followed me into a private room, sat down. "I never wanted this," she said quickly. "Marcus said Lena needed help." I slid my phone across the table, paused video. Her voice. The dosage was perfect. She stared at the screen. "Broke." "They have everything," I said calmly. "Your choice is simple." Her shoulders collapsed. "He promised me a life," she whispered. "He promised my daughter death," I replied. She sobbed. Confessions poured out. Text messages, payments, timelines, everything. Clara stepped in quietly. Police followed. Cassidy didn't resist. She couldn't, because lies don't hold weight once the truth stands upright. As Cassidy was led away, Clara looked at me. "This will go to trial," she said. I nodded. "Good," I replied, because the final act wasn't about arrests. It was about judgment. Justice doesn't arrive with thunder. It arrives with truth and the courage to stand beside it. The courtroom was quiet when Lena walked in. Not silent, reverent. She moved slowly, still healing, but she stood on her own feet. No wheelchair, no crutches, just strength stitched together by survival and love. When she met my eyes, she smiled, not because the pain was gone, but because the fear was. I stood as she passed, not as a shield this time, as a witness. Marcus wouldn't look at her. Glass walls, neutral colors, nowhere to hide. "How is she?" he asked. "Alive," I said. "For now." His jaw tightened. "Good." "I didn't want to rush the surgery," he said quickly. The risks were losing her," I interrupted. "The rest is noise." Silence stretched. I let it. Because silence makes people fill it with mistakes. He cleared his throat. "I just wanted everything done properly," he said, "for legal reasons." There it was again. Legal. Always legal. I leaned back. "You're thinking about the future," I said calmly. "I understand." He nodded too fast. "I knew you would," he said. "You've always been practical." I smiled faintly. Practical women survive wars. I slid my phone across the table, not to him, face down. "I've taken over the household finances temporarily," I said, "until Lena recovers." He froze. "Why?" he asked. "Because uncertainty causes stress," I said, "and stress isn't good for family." Family. The word tasted bitter. Clara walked in, professional, calm. Mr. Hale, she said, there are a few signatures we need from you. He blinked. About what? Debt restructuring, she replied. Asset transfers. The color drained from his face. What debt? He asked. Clara opened the folder. Your debt, she said simply. House, yacht, credit lines, insurance claims under review. Each page landed like a slow punch. He looked at me, panic breaking through. You did this? He whispered. I met his eyes. I protected my daughter, I said. He swallowed hard. That yacht you were on last night? Clara continued. It's no longer yours. Marcus stood abruptly. This is harassment, he snapped. I want my lawyer. You already had one, Clara said. You didn't listen to her either. Marcus turned to me, desperate now. You're punishing me, he said, because you don't like me. I leaned forward. No, I said softly. I'm stabilizing chaos. That's when the doctor knocked. She's waking up, he said. Marcus's face collapsed. The prey had moved. As we followed the doctor down the hall, Marcus whispered under his breath. She wasn't supposed to wake up. I heard him, and so did Clara, and that single sentence changed everything. Some confessions don't come in courtrooms. They slip out in hallways, whispered by men who believe no one is listening. Marcus didn't realize what he had done, but the moment those words left his mouth, she wasn't supposed to wake up. The air itself seemed to freeze. Clara stopped walking. So did I. Marcus kept moving for 2 steps before he understood. Too late. Marcus, I said calmly, what did you just say? He turned slowly, eyes wide, breathing uneven. I didn't mean, he stammered. I was just scared, shocked. Clara pulled out her phone. Please, he whispered. You're twisting my words. No, she replied evenly. You chose them. That was the moment fear finally replaced arrogance. The doctor waited near the ICU doors. Only immediate family, he said. Marcus stepped forward instinctively. I raised my hand. She doesn't need stress, I said. I'll go first. Marcus didn't argue, because now he was afraid of saying anything at all. Lena's eyes fluttered open when I reached her bedside, weak, confused, alive. I took her hand. Mom? She whispered. I'm here, I said softly. You're safe. Her grip tightened, barely. Tears welled, but she fought them. He pushed me, she whispered. It's what they celebrate. As the music swelled and the night stretched on, I stood up and grabbed my coat. The party was about to end, and I was about to introduce myself as the new owner of everything Marcus thought was his. Every great reckoning pauses once, right before the fall, right before the truth catches fire. This was that pause. The hospital hallway was quiet in a way that felt unnatural, like the world itself was holding its breath. Machines hummed softly, nurses walked slower, time stretched. Lena was still alive. That single fact kept the storm inside me controlled. Because storms don't rush, they gather. I sat alone in the waiting room, hands folded, eyes steady. People would have mistaken me for calm. They always do. They don't understand that calm is not the absence of emotion. It's the mastery of it. My phone rested on my lap. Inside it were videos, messages, financial records, insurance documents, and confessions that could end lives, not physically, but socially, legally, permanently. Marcus and Cassidy didn't know it yet, but they were already ghosts. The surgeon came in quietly. She's responding, he said. Still unconscious. but stable. I closed my eyes, not in relief, in gratitude, because now Lena could live long enough to see the truth. I stepped into the hospital chapel, not to pray, to think. I remembered the first time I ever lost something important. I was 32. A partner betrayed me, took credit for my work, nearly destroyed my company. Back then, I cried. This time, I planned. Because this wasn't about revenge, this was about balance. My phone buzzed again, a message from Marcus. I don't know how to feel. Part of me hopes she survives. Part of me is tired. I stared at the words. That's what weak men call guilt. Tiredness. I didn't reply. Silence is also a weapon. Clara called. Police will need more than circumstantial evidence, she said. But we're building a timeline. Medical records, video, financial motive. Good, I said. But not yet. She paused. You want him comfortable. I want him careless. Comfort makes people sloppy, and sloppy people confess. Outside, dawn crept into the city. The yacht lights dimmed. The music faded. Guests left. Marcus and Cassidy remained, together, trapped in their illusion. I watched the feed one last time, Cassidy asleep on Lena's bed, Marcus staring at the ceiling, worried. Good. Fear had finally arrived. I sent one final message. The doctors say the next 48 hours will decide everything. He replied instantly. I'll come to the hospital later. Later. Always later. That's how men like him live. I stood and adjusted my coat. The interval was ending. The chessboard was set. Every piece in place. The next move wouldn't bruise. It would break. As I walked back toward the ICU, my phone lit up with a private alert. Law enforcement is ready when you are. I smiled softly. The storm was no longer gathering. It was about to land. Every predator believes the hunt ends when the prey stops moving. What they never consider is the moment the ground beneath them starts to shift. Marcus arrived at the hospital just after noon. No flowers, no rush, no panic. He walked in wearing dark glasses, expensive shoes, and a face carefully practiced in front of mirrors. To anyone watching, he looked like a grieving husband holding himself together. To me, he looked like a man already preparing his apology speech. I didn't greet him. I watched. He stopped short when he saw me. For half a second, just half, his mask slipped. Evelyn, he said softly. I've been praying all night. I nodded once. You must be exhausted. He exhaled, relieved. Comfort is a dangerous thing to give a liar. We sat across from each other in the private consultation room. Then I walked away, because standing still would have shattered me. Back in the hallway, my phone buzzed again. A live alert from the drone. Marcus was still celebrating, still smiling, still wearing freedom like a crown. I sent Clara the lab results. Her response came fast. This changes everything, she wrote. We're no longer just dealing with fraud. No, we were dealing with intent. As I stared at the screen, a chilling thought settled in. Marcus didn't do this alone. And whoever helped him was still very close, too close. The most dangerous enemies are not the loud ones. They are the ones who smile, blend in, and wait patiently for the moment you stop looking. I replayed the drone footage again, Marcus laughing, the yacht glowing, champagne spilling like water. And then I froze the frame, the woman in the red dress. She wasn't just a guest. She moved like she belonged there, too comfortable, too close. Her hand rested on Marcus's chest like it had memorized the place. I zoomed in on her face, and suddenly my blood ran cold. I had seen her before, not at a party. In my daughter's kitchen, 2 months ago. Marcus had introduced her casually. "This is Cassie," he said. "She's a private wellness nurse, helping Lena with stress and fatigue." Scrubs, soft voice, professional smile. I remembered how Lena had looked then, tired, thinner than usual. She said Cassie helped with vitamins, supplements, injections. Injections. My grip tightened around the phone. The insulin, the bruises, the timing. This wasn't coincidence. This was planning. I checked the hospital staff logs, and there it was. Cassidy Moore, licensed nurse, contract worker, no criminal record, clean background, too clean. My security chief confirmed it quietly. "She clocked out early tonight," he said, "left before the emergency call came in." Of course she did. She already knew. I switched the feed, internal cameras, the yacht's security system, installed by me, accessed by me, forgotten by Marcus. The screen shifted to the master cabin. There they were, Marcus and Cassidy, sitting on my daughter's bed, laughing, drinking, planning. I turned the sound on. "We did it," Cassidy said, her voice light. "The dosage was perfect." Marcus laughed. "You were perfect. Surgical." Surgical. The word echoed inside me like a gunshot. Cassidy leaned into him. "So, when she's gone," she said casually, "you still promised me that car, right?" Marcus kissed her neck. "With the payout, I'll buy you whatever you want." There it was, the confession. Clear, calm, recorded. My hands didn't shake. Because now I wasn't guessing. I knew. My phone buzzed. Clara. "I have confirmation," she said. "We now own all his debt. House, yacht, vehicles, personal loans." "How long until he feels it?" I asked. She smiled through the phone. I could hear it. "Minutes." I looked back at the screen. Marcus raised his glass again. "Freedom," he toasted. I whispered softly, "Enjoy it." I sent one more message to Marcus. "The doctors say she may not last the night." The reply came instantly. "I'm finally free. I saved it. Evidence isn't just what people do." "How fast can you freeze the policy?" I asked. "Already in motion," Clara said. "But Evelyn, there's more." My jaw tightened. "Tell me." "He leveraged the house 6 months ago, took loans against it, lost the money." "Lost it. Gambling, crypto, bad bets. He wasn't just greedy, he was desperate. And desperate people don't wait patiently." That's when I understood the truth that changed everything. Lena didn't fall by accident. She became inconvenient. My phone chimed again. Another message from Marcus. "They're saying it's bad. I don't think she's going to make it." I stared at the words, and then I typed back, "Stay where you are. The doctors say stress could make things worse." I sent him permission to keep celebrating, because I needed him careless. The red light outside the operating room stayed on. Minutes passed like hours. On the screen, Marcus laughed louder. The music rose. He kissed the woman in red. I hit record. Every second of joy, every smile, every toast. He was writing his own confession. As the music peaked on the yacht, my phone buzzed with a new message from the hospital. "She's stable, for now." And in that moment, I smiled. Because Marcus Hale was about to learn something very important. The party only lasts until the owner of the night arrives. Some truths don't come with screams or blood. They arrive quietly, typed in numbers, hidden in reports, buried where no one thinks to look. Lena was alive. Barely, but alive. The surgeon said the next 12 hours would decide everything. I nodded, thanked him, and watched as he disappeared back into the controlled chaos of the ICU. Only then did I let myself breathe. But relief didn't soften me. It sharpened me. because if my daughter survived, she would need justice. And if she didn't, then justice would be all that remained. I asked for the intake file, not politely. The hospital administrator tried to quote privacy laws. I shut that down with a single sentence. My daughter is fighting for her life. Her husband is currently unreachable. I am the one funding half this wing. The tablet was handed to me seconds later. I sat in the corner of the waiting area, scrolling. Mechanical fall, the report said. Patient found at bottom of stairs. Accident. That's the word they like to use when no one wants to ask harder questions. But I've spent my life asking the questions people avoid. I studied the photos. The bruises on her face made my stomach turn, but I forced myself to look past them. I zoomed in. Wrists, faint purple marks, symmetrical, too precise. Those weren't from falling. Those were fingerprints. Someone had held her. My phone buzzed. A private message. Mrs. King, I need to talk to you. I looked up. A nurse stood nearby, young, nervous. He kept glancing down the hallway like he was afraid of being seen. I was on intake, he whispered once we stepped aside. I wasn't sure if I should say anything. Say it, I said. He pulled a folded lab printout from his pocket. Her blood sugar was dangerously low when she came in, he said, but her insulin levels were impossible. I scanned the numbers. My heart slowed. Lena isn't diabetic, I said. He nodded. Exactly. That much insulin couldn't come from her body. It was injected. Injected. Not an accident, not a fall, a setup. If someone was dizzy, weak, the nurse continued, they wouldn't be able to stop themselves on the stairs. I finished his sentence. They'd go straight down. The world tilted, but I didn't fall. I remembered the call 2 weeks earlier, Lena crying, whispering, Mom, money is missing. He says I'm imagining it. I had told her to stay calm. I had told her we'd handle it quietly. I had told her to wait. That delay almost killed her. I folded the lab report and thanked the nurse. You did the right thing, I said. He's very reachable, I said. He's just choosing not to answer. I stepped away, pulled out my phone, and made a call that hadn't been used in years. Wake up, Clara, I said when my attorney answered. Activate everything. She didn't ask questions. She knew my tone. I want Marcus Hale with nothing to his name before sunrise. There was a pause. Then, understood. I walked back into Lena's room. I brushed her hair from her forehead the way I used to when she was little. Her skin felt cold. Too cold. I'm here, I whispered, and I'm not leaving. That's when my security chief returned, his face tight. He's on the yacht, he said. Party, guests, champagne. I closed my eyes. While my daughter fought for her life, her husband was celebrating on a boat named after her. That's when I understood something painful and clear. Marcus wasn't waiting for her to live. He was waiting for her to die. The surgeon came back again, more urgent now. If we wait any longer, he said, she won't survive the night. I looked at him, steady. Prep the room, I said. I'll get the signature. He hesitated. How? I turned toward the window where city lights blinked like a nervous pulse. By reminding him, I said calmly, who paid for his entire life. My phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. Evelyn, the doctor said it's bad. I'm on my way. I'm so scared. I stared at the screen. Lies, stacked neatly like receipts. I typed back slowly. Stay where you are. The doctors need quiet. Keep praying. The message delivered. He didn't reply. Of course he didn't. Clara called me back. "I own the debt now," she said. "House, yacht, credit lines, everything." "How long until it hits him?" I asked. "Minutes." I smiled for the first time that night. As Lena was wheeled into surgery, my phone lit up again, this time with live footage. Marcus raised a champagne glass, laughing. He had no idea that the floor beneath him was already gone, and when it fell, I would be watching. There is a special kind of evil reserved for people who celebrate too early. That night, Marcus Hale danced on a lie, while my daughter bled under bright surgical lights. I stood outside the operating room as the doors closed on Lena. The red light turned on. Surgery in progress. I couldn't follow her inside, but I could still protect her. My phone vibrated again. Live video. My security team had deployed a drone over the marina. And there it was. The yacht. Bright lights. Loud music. People laughing like nothing in the world was wrong. Waiters moving with trays of drinks. A floating palace of denial. And in the center of it all, Marcus, relaxed, smiling, a drink in his hand, his arm wrapped around a woman in a red dress. My chest tightened, but my face stayed calm. This is how predators expose themselves, I thought. When they think they've already won. I zoomed in. The woman leaned into him, laughing. She wore diamonds around her neck. My heart skipped. I knew that necklace. It wasn't just expensive. It was ours. It had belonged to Lena's grandmother. I gave it to my daughter on her 18th birthday. She never took it off. Said it made her feel safe. Marcus had taken it. Not after her death. Before. That's when anger stopped being loud and became precise. The surgeon stepped out briefly, his mask pulled down. "We relieved some pressure," he said. "But the next hour is critical." I nodded. "Do whatever you need." He hesitated. "Her husband keeps calling." "Don't answer," I said. "He doesn't get access anymore." I turned away and focused on the screen again. Marcus raised his glass. I couldn't hear his words clearly, but I didn't need to. I had spent my life reading rooms, reading men, reading lies. That smile wasn't relief. It was freedom. He thought Lena wouldn't wake up. And then my phone buzzed again. A message from Clara. "Insurance policy confirmed. $10 million. Double payout for accidental death." There it was. The motive. The clock suddenly made sense. The delay, the refusal to sign, the party. He wasn't grieving. He was waiting for a wire transfer. I felt sick, not weak, not broken, focused. I had buried empires without raising my voice. But the night my phone rang at 2:17 a.m., I knew, before I even answered, that something far worse than business had broken. My name is Evelyn King. I'm 63 years old. For 4 decades, I ruled boardrooms, crushed hostile takeovers, and turned failing companies into gold. People used to call me the Iron Widow of Wall Street. I thought I had retired that woman. I was wrong. The call came from a hospital in Los Angeles. "Mrs. King, your daughter has been admitted to the ICU." Those words hollowed my chest. They said my daughter Lena had fallen down the stairs. Severe head trauma, brain swelling, critical condition. They spoke gently, carefully, like people do when they're afraid of what comes next. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I booked a private flight and packed in silence. Some instincts never die. They just sleep. 4 hours later, the hospital doors slid open, and my world cracked apart. I didn't stop at reception. I didn't ask for directions. My security team had already traced Lena's room. ICU, 4th floor, room 417. The smell hit me first, cold air, antiseptic, fear. Then I saw her. My daughter looked small, fragile, wrapped in wires and tubes. Machines breathed for her. The steady beep beside her bed sounded like a countdown I couldn't stop. But what broke me wasn't the machines. It was the chair. Empty. No coat, no coffee cup, no flowers, no husband holding her hand. I stood there gripping the bed rail until my fingers went numb. Lena was dying, and she was alone. A nurse entered quietly, young, tired eyes. "Are you family?" she asked. "I'm her mother," I said. My voice sounded calm, dangerous calm. "Where is her husband?" She hesitated. That pause told me everything. "He left earlier," she said softly. "He said he was overwhelmed, needed time to pray." Pray. I looked at my unconscious child. 3 years ago, I handed Lena to Marcus Hale at a wedding that cost more than most people's homes. I gifted them $5 million, bought them a house overlooking the ocean, funded his so-called startup. I thought I was buying my daughter's safety. Instead, I had financed a parasite. I called him. He answered on the 3rd ring, whispering like a man pretending to grieve. "Evelyn, I'm at the cathedral," he said, "on my knees, asking God to save her." But beneath his fake sorrow, I heard it. Music, bass, laughter, glasses clinking. That wasn't prayer. That was a party. "Stay there," I said quietly. "Keep praying." I ended the call. Then I turned to my security chief. "Find him." He didn't even hesitate. "Already did." He showed me the screen. Marina del Rey, a yacht, the one I bought, named after my daughter. As I stood beside my unconscious child, the surgeon rushed toward me, panic in his eyes. "We need to operate immediately," he said, "but her husband is refusing consent." That's when I understood. This wasn't neglect. This wasn't cowardice. This was something far darker. And the woman I used to be, the one I thought was gone, opened her eyes again. There are moments when the truth doesn't whisper. It slams into you like a locked door, one you suddenly realize someone is holding shut from the other side. The surgeon didn't look at the floor. He looked straight at me. "He won't sign," he said. "Your daughter's husband is delaying consent." Delaying. Lena's brain was swelling. Every minute mattered. And Marcus, her husband, her protector, the man who vowed to stand by her, was stalling like this was a contract negotiation. I felt something inside me go cold. "How long do we have?" I asked. The doctor swallowed. "Less than an hour before the damage becomes permanent." Permanent. I didn't shout. I didn't beg. I asked the question that really mattered. "Did he give a reason?" The doctor hesitated. He said he needs to speak with his lawyer about liability. That's when the room stopped spinning and became sharp instead. This wasn't fear. This was calculation. I signed anyway. I told them to bring me the papers. I told them I would take responsibility. I told them to prepare the operating room. And that's when the legal department stepped in. "Mrs. King," one of them said carefully, "legally, the husband's consent overrides yours unless he is unreachable." Unreachable, I laughed. Once, softly.